missed my flight. Hey everyone, I'm Jen Chicago. Happy New Year and welcome to The Sauce. That was my mom and brother Jason helping me with the first guest intro of the new year.
Savor the sauce.
I went home for the holidays to hang with the fam in Austin, Texas. They took me to Chuy's, para fajitas, and yes, Jason is wearing shorts in December. We went for walks and took pictures in other people's yards. We rolled down hills and challenged each other to hang upside down. Dad made chocolate chip cookies from scratch almost every single night I was there. And let me tell you, these cookies are the edible epitome of love.
Epitome. Noun. A typical or ideal example.
And if all that wasn't enough, they took me dancing. Check out me and my brother Rich as we're cutting up a country rug at the Copeland Dance Hall in Texas. And then Christmas rolled around. Actually, Christmas came a little early for me because Santa Claus gave me a Kindle. Yeah, Santa Claus. Who do you think Santa calls when he needs to make deals happen? Gotta think, right? Okay, so back to my Kindle. Well, if you don't already know, it's a wireless reading device created by Amazon. Super cool. It holds a ton of books, magazines, blogs, and it's light as a paperback. You can make notes and highlight, and as long as you have it, you never have to be bored waiting for someone. Reading is fun, Mom. Oh, and my parents got me a Ninja smoothie chopper mixer thing with double blades. It's perfect for me because I make smoothies a lot, and when I do, people tell me all the time that I remind them of a ninja. Anyhow, I could go on and on about my adorable family and my sweet ninja moves, but we have 2 weeks to cover, people, and we have to save some room for all the excitement that happened last week with Joe Piscopo. So the day after I returned back in Chicago from Austin, we sell out both shows of Jokes at the Joint, with Joe Piscopo himself opening for each show. Ben Mahoney is editing the footage right now. He's cutting it up into chunks per comic, so we'll let you know when those videos are up. David Leonardis and Sarah Cooley were in the house also Tuesday night shooting their talk show Chit Chat. They scored some pretty primo interviews with Stan, Joe, Bill, Jimmy, and me. The morning after the comedy show was Joe's media tour, and it started pretty early in the morning. I mean, when WGN says morning show, they ain't kidding. But somehow we all managed to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed despite the time. And I was extra exuberant because this was my first media tour. My official title was photographer and videographer. And sometimes I just hopped in the picture. Anyway, Joe performed his much-loved Sinatra classics and was also interviewed by WGN's Paul Conrad, who did an excellent job. Joe's right hand, Jessica, spotted Chelsea Lately's Heather McDonald in the hallway, and us gals snagged a picture on our speedy way to the next stop. Yeah, that right there, that's real footage of Stan the Transporter getting Joe and the rest of us across town. Call me square, but I'm pretty sure some of those streets weren't really intended for cars. I thought for sure Joe was donating a kidney or something, but as it turns out, Stan just doesn't like to be late. We arrived at Fox early, where we met up with Jimmy the Hat, Jim Pasoli from Kids Fighting Cancer, and Reed Tillinghast from Germania Place. Anchors Corey Chambers and Nancy Liu were really fun to watch, and I know Joe had a really great time with the interview. After Fox, we all got a short reprieve before heading back out to Comcast Sportsnet. We saw Lou Canellis in the hall, and we had to snag a pic with him before entering the meat locker David Kaplan calls a studio. Brr! Chicago Tribune Live is really cold, but Joe did his part to heat up the conversation with talk of After Dark, the SNL days with Eddie Murphy, Finding Broads, and oh yeah, hockey. Brought up hockey the day before his home team, the New Jersey Devils, would be crushed by the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center for New Year's Eve. So Kaplan invited Joe on the air, thereby inviting us to the game, where we got seats on the glass next to Jim Cornelison, who sings the national anthem beautifully for every Hawks home game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. After Comcast, we went to our spot for Italian, La Scarola, where we met up with Katie and Reed from Germania's place. And guess who else was there? Illinois Secretary of State, Jesse White. Oh yeah, we snapped pictures and drank and ate incredible food prepared by Joey and staff. Sinatra would be proud, Joey. Hey Armando, where were you in the tequila? New Year's Eve, the Blackhawks Devils game starts at 7, and Joe is asked to shoot a puck as well as be interviewed on the ice by Comcast's Sarah Kustik. The puck challenge didn't go as well for Joe as it did for the 7-year-old that was before him, but hey, in Piscopo's own words, I was that close. The interview with Sarah, on the other hand, was a total score for everyone, and yet it still couldn't drown out the sound of the spanking the Blackhawks gave to the Devils. Sorry, Joe. After the game, we screeched away on 2 wheels until we arrived back at the joint. Joe hopped on stage with Steve Biasat and the Deep City Band and worked his magic for the benefiting charity Kids Fighting Cancer. So many of our friends showed up for New Year's Eve. It was so much fun. We had Karen and Tiffany and Brandy and Mike and Teresa and Bill. Oh, and Bill also gave me an autographed copy of his Sinatra book that I've been asking for. Yeah. Between Bill, Joe, and Stan, I'm gonna know everything there is to know about old Blue Eyes pretty soon. Anyway, Bill's working on a Johnny Carson biography now, and he also writes for Playboy, which just proves to me they really must have great articles. And guess what? After meeting with Joe, it looks like Bill may be a writer for After Dark as well. The mastermind team is forming. Well, things may have slowed down a little bit from the holidays, but they haven't come anywhere close to stopping. Piscopo is coming back to Chicago this Monday to begin shooting some on-location segments of After Dark around town. Then on Tuesday, we're hosting a media day here at the Joint. After Dark with Joe Piscopo will be loosely modeled after Hef's Playboy After Dark, and it's all coming together. So keep tuning in to The Sauce to hear who our first guest will be. Eek! It's so cold out there. And though we may not all be able to sneak off to a beach vacation this week, we can't let that stop us from enjoying a winter staycation Chicago style. So here are 3 staycation ideas for this week in Chicago. Number 1, go ice skating. Tell your friends to meet you at the seasonal ice skating rink at Wrigley Field. It's huge. Make sure you bring your camera and a protective case for those unexpected spills on the ice. The rink is open through February and adults are $10 to skate, not including rentals. Number 2, Lady Gaga will be performing at the Rosemont Theater this weekend, a last-minute change from the Chicago Theater, to house the 8 semi-trucks she is reportedly sending in for the show. The set production and costume changes may make this staycation feel more like we're on Mars than downtown Chicago, but that's the point. And number 3, January 19th at the MCA is a free night of art and unlectures. Different artist groups will present throughout the night to create a variety show-like evening. Find out more about Cabinet of Curiosity by visiting mcachicago.org. Grab a pal and get yourself some culture. For cool shirts like this fancy tuxedo one I'm wearing, check out Chicago's own Strange Cargo in Wrigleyville on Clark Street. Send an email to jen@jenchicago.com with sauce in the subject line, and we'll make sure you never miss another sauce. Hey, Bill Zwecker, thanks for the plug for After Dark and the Sun-Times, and congrats on your new gig with Fox TV. Know Michelle Reed? Her Beautiful Blue birthday party is at the Joint Chicago this Friday, starting at 10 in the lounge. Wear blue for a free cocktail. And that's it for this week. Make sure you check us out next week for another edition of The Sauce. Until then,
I'm John.
I'm Andy. Minute Saucy Chicago.
It's called Wrigley Field.
They have ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, see, you watch The Sauce, you learn something.
Yeah.